I'm sorry this took so long. I know why you're here, so let's get started. Everyone knows the biggest way to get street cred in Type Soul is by beating Flower BANKAI. But the second biggest way is by subscribing to my channel. I know y'all don't want to hear this nonsense, but if I'm helping y'all pack this guy up, I need y'all to help with getting me out the hood. It doesn't cost anything to click that red subscribe button. This was the one BANKAI I wasn't completely confident in being able to beat. You could do everything right and still end up losing just because of RNG. I mean, this guy is known for putting people in the blender. You can't start freaking out and asking me to do it for you just because you couldn't win after a certain amount of tries. I do not do everyone's BANKAI fights, and I only explain the requirements for this to the subscribers in my clan server on Discord. Some of y'all like to watch 2 minutes of these videos before hopping back into the fight and then hitting me on Discord to complain about how the method isn't working for you. It's probably because you aren't using the same keybinds as me, or your skills aren't in the same order as mine. It could also be because you didn't look at my pinned comment to see if I left any additional tips. If you're not going to do that, I just ask that you at least watch the fight and pay close attention to everything I'm doing. I'm going to show a play-by-play for the fight, and then I will show the full fight without any pauses. I always start the fight off with my main damage-dealing move, Shinten Raiho. I followed with Zangetsu, but I could have waited for him to come closer before using it. That way, I would have been more likely to secure a guard break. This part is very important. Notice how when I use Sokatsui, the boss instantly runs after me. This is actually because the boss is programmed to chase after you whenever you're running away from it, just like how it's programmed to start blocking when you're trying to use a skill. This is something to keep in mind when using moves like Fushibi, Kuyo Shibari, and Rikujokuro. After I noticed this pattern, I ended up doing the same exact thing with Fushibi. The boss caught me in Senkei, but its flash step was disabled. What I like to do after landing Fushibi is right-clicking with Tsuzuri Raiden to gain distance and play cooldowns. However, because I'm in its Senkei, I have to move on the immediate defense. I use Danku and then Heavenly Cannon to instantly protect myself and counter. Due to this move knocking back, I'm able to properly aim Hien right in between us instead of directly at the NPC. Like I said, the boss is going to move toward me, especially with me actively moving away from it. That's why instead of it blocking or parrying the Hien multiple times, it's taking the full damage just so it can reach me. This is where one of the main purposes of Tenron comes in. I immediately pushed it back into the fire, so not only would it take even more damage, but I can calmly figure out my next attack because they've been knocked back. I used both Zangetsu and then Shinten Raiho after this, but I believe it would have been better if I used Rikujokuro or Kuyo Shibari while backing up before attacking to buy my other moves more time. Because I didn't use any stalling moves, I ended up being forced to use my mask for a second evasive. If you don't have visored yourself, feel free to join my clan Discord because we sometimes give away basic and true hogyokus. Anyways, using this evasive reminded me to use overflow in order to knock them back. His Senkei also ended, so I was able to dash back and start repeating my previous steps. I normally only use Heavenly Cannon after Danku, but I was confident I'd be able to aim it properly here. I used Hien as a filler move again, but this time I also followed by using Rikujokuro to buy myself time to run away. The last thing I wanted to do was get caught in another Senkei. As you can see, I got caught in it regardless. This time, I didn't have any Reiyatsu to properly protect myself. When you're fighting Flower, it's nearly impossible to conserve your Reiyatsu, because you have to do whatever you can to survive in Senkei. The good part about this is because you are low on Reiyatsu, you know the boss is low on health if you landed most of your moves. Think of the boss's health bar as your Reiyatsu bar, but about 2 bars higher. That's why I continue trying to fight despite being trapped in Senkei a second time with no Reiyatsu left. I obviously took a lot of damage because of this, but I managed to build up enough Reiyatsu for one last Danku, and did a full M1 chain. For some reason, he wasn't blocking any of it. It could be because BANKAI bosses are programmed to attack after blocking or parrying your first 1 to 2 M1s. But because Danku was still in place, it protected me from getting hit, and allowed me to finish the full M1 chain. Soul Style allowed me to restore some of my Reiyatsu with these M1s. It wasn't much, but it was enough for me to start spamming my heavy-hitting attacks. It still wasn't enough, so I had to force it to block rather than attack me. That's why I used Fushibi and dashed away so that it would land. Its flash step being disabled meant that all I had to do at that point was wait for it to come to me, use my weapon's crit, and then punish the guard break using Tenron. It's funny because right before this fight, I was telling myself and even my subscriber that I'm gonna take a break and get some water after this. I was literally under the impression I was going to lose before I even started. Like I said, this is the hardest Bankai boss. Not only do you need to know what you're doing, but you'll also need to be lucky. If you can't get it after 10 tries, don't be afraid to take a break and try again later. This time, I'll show the full fight without any pauses. Shout out to this Chad for letting me beat his flower Bankai. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and supporting me. I'd also like to say shout out to the other subscriber who let me beat their benihime Bankai in my most recent video. If you need help, join my clan Discord and send a clip of your Bankai fight for specific advice. If this video helped you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. The rest of this video will be me tracking